Recording. All right, cool. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and then have at it?
Sure. I don't know if you guys saw her post, but my name is Daigle. Me and Catherine are success partners. We kind of met in our Diamond mentor group. And I was looking for a success partner because I had success partners in the past, but never really found one that was super driven or motivated or actually like pushed me for my goals. So we kind of connected and have just been doing it ever since. This will be my second year coaching. In December is my coach anniversary. I am a lifetime Diamond coach. What else? My team name is Joy Tribe, and I brand my fitness as Joy Tribe Fitness. Currently, my team is in the building phase. Obviously, if I'm a Diamond coach, I am looking to be 1-star, 2-star qualifying soon. I have pretty big goals, and that's why Catherine are kind of pushing each other, because we want to see each other's teams grow, and we want you guys to do amazing things, and we want each other to do amazing things. So that's pretty much my life in a nutshell. I don't know if you want me to tell you a little bit about my background and how I got into coaching.
Sure.
But I basically moved away to Florida for a year and moved back home because I went through a really, really bad breakup, and moved back home and was in a really tough place when I moved back home. So I was kind of filling that empty tank void of happiness with everything, like food and going out all the time, and just not actually feeling all the feels I was avoiding. I'm a recovering avoider. That's my thing that I post about a lot, is that instead of avoiding something, you kind of have to deal with it. So eventually one of my friends, getting my shit together. Sorry if you guys have kids around. I try not to curse, but sometimes it slips out.
Mine's asleep.
I started going to the gym. She saw me going to the gym, and I've known her for I had known her for a very long time, but we had lost touch for a little bit. So she just reached out to me, and this was when Hammer and Chisel was launching. So she's like, I know you're, into going to the gym, but I need somebody to test out this new program that's coming out. Would you be interested? And I was like, I had tried Shakeology before and actually had a lot of success with it. Before I moved away, it was actually when I was at my heaviest before I moved away. And I had lost a ton of weight just by being on Shakeology and being sort of active. I think I was doing 10-minute trainer. I don't know. That's a really old program. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it at all, but I did that, and I was jogging a little bit. So that was about it. So I believed in the products. I knew it worked. So I was just worst case scenario, this sits on my shelf, and I quit my shakes after the first month. No big deal, but I'm going to sign up for the discount so that just in case I want to try, I'll have the discount. But long story short, I am competitive by nature. I was in a challenge group with a bunch of other coaches, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to win this. So I did. But I fell in love with the community and the support, and I just thought it was great. And the more that I did it, the more I fell in love with it. And I was working full time as an interior designer at the time. And the more I fell in love with coaching, the more I fell out of love with interior design. So I eventually, last October, had the opportunity to step away from that position and do this full time. I bartend twice a week. But other than that, I'm doing this every day, all day. And that's my story.
Love it.
I can jump right in. I do have some slides, but I'm not like really a slides person. They're more just to kind of like keep me on track. So there's not like a ton of info on them. And they're from a call that I did before about social media. So I'm just kind of use them as a guide and talk more about what to post rather than the social media aspect altogether.
Okay.
So I will share my screen with you. Let me just make sure. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Okay. How about now?
Looks great.
You still can see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Okay. So this was a call that I did called How to Rock Your Social Media Like a Boss. And it was basically just like what to post, where to post, knowing your platforms, what you're looking for, what your brand is, and kind of just like all of the map. But I'm going to kind of focus on what are we posting? Why do we post what we post? What should you post? When should you post? All of that kind of good stuff. So my first thing is, like, you guys know this, I'm sure. If you haven't created an avatar, I highly recommend that you do. If you don't know what an avatar is, I'm sure you probably do. I'm sure Catherine has probably talked to you about an avatar, but it's building your brand and knowing who you're talking to, because we all know that like our social media posts are basically like Hail Marys. We're just throwing these posts out there in hopes that somebody kind of catches them and they catch their eye and they relate to us. But it's also like your story. If somebody doesn't know you, they're going to immediately go to your page. Like if you private message them or if you're connecting with them on their page, the first thing that they do is creep your page and stalk your life. Like we all know that because that's what we do, right? It's just like a natural thing. If you don't know who somebody is, you're like, oh, shoot, who is this girl? Like, I don't know her. Let me figure out if or how I do know her. So the first thing you want to do is be relatable. We are ourselves first, and Beachbody coaches second. So if you're Beachbody vomiting all day, every day, you're driving traffic away from your page instead of to your page. So share story over and over and over. It doesn't get old no matter how old you or old you think it gets or how sick of telling it you are. Just don't, because you never know who you're gonna reach, and that is what people are buying into, is you. Be yourself, and posting about stuff outside of Beachbody is probably one of my biggest recommendations, because you want to kind of take Beachbody out of the equation and put yourself as the forefront. So going back to your social media being your store, you want people to come to your page and almost be like, I can tell that she's into health and fitness, but I can't really tell like what she does. So like my biggest compliment when people come to me and they're like, well, what do you do? Well, who do you work for? Like, if they don't know that I'm a Beachbody coach, I'm like, yes, thank you, Jesus. Like, I'm so happy when that happens, because we all know that the business has changed like drastically in the past few years. And the more saturated that it has gotten, the more kind of gross feeling it's gotten, not to us, because we just know that it radiates positivity and it's an amazing community and we just love it so much. But the common person doesn't really understand it until they're in it. So you have to almost take yourself outside of our community and look at it as somebody just on the street, somebody that's just looking at all of these fitness pages and they're inundated with all this information and Beachbody coaches and, just everybody on media already that is in the fitness game. There's so much that you want to be the exception and not like everybody else. So you want to be engaging and connecting. You want to be posting about stuff outside of Beachbody, and just be yourself. Like, think about things that you do throughout the day that would attract you to your page. So if you've created your avatar, you've probably listed out your like Fab Five. So the 5 things that make you really who you are. Like I have a couple different things that I go back and forth with. And I'm constantly kind of renewing them. Like I will sit down and think about them and think about like monthly. I wouldn't say you have to do it like weekly, but I'm just like, is this changing? Am I being true to these 5 things? And I critique my social media. Do I need to post more about this? Do I need to post less about this? So mine would be like pizza and my dog and faith. I share all of those 3 things, and then it's fitness and nutrition. And I'm not huge into like nutrition, so you won't come to my page and see a ton of like meal prep because that is not me. I would relate to somebody that has a bunch of meal prep things on their page. That's pretty. It's awesome. I think I admire people that do that, but that is not my strong suit. I love good food. I love making good food, but prepping out an entire week of food and having it look pretty and lined up, that's just not what you're going to see on page. And I learned that because I used to do that. And the more that I tried to be like other coaches, the less I was being relatable. So the more you're telling kind of somebody else's story, the more people pick up on that, and they're kind of going to get that from you, that you're not being yourself. So if you go to your Fab Five, you just want to always go back to that. And if you're struggling with a post, like, I don't know what to post today, I don't know what content to post today, always go back to that. And if you have maybe like a Pinterest board that you pin stuff to, sometimes I glance over things that I like or that I repin, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like if I would like that, then my avatar is going to like that and they'll relate to that. But I always go back to things that are going to fit my personality. So always go back to that Fab Five. Be consistent. Photos matter. It's your reality show. I'm not going to go too much in depth to this because as long as you're posting like a boss, which means you're being consistent 3 to 5 times a day. And I say that with like an underlying disclaimer. 3 to 5 is definitely like a lot to some people. And I would say as long as you have multiple posts out there that matter, the fillers in between can be like the lighthearted stuff. Like if you want to share something from a different page, if you like a recipe that you tried that you want to throw up on your page, like those filler posts, I don't count towards my 3 to 5. I don't count those towards my business posts because those are just adding value to who I am and letting people know more about me. So I'm always going to talk about the business, or I'm always going to talk about my challenge group. If I'm talking about my challenge group and if I'm talking about the business, it's going to come with an invite, because I wasn't always doing this, and you think that people get sick of it, but not everybody understands that you're inviting them. That goes hand in hand with your messaging behind the scenes. But if you're doing a public invite, I attach my invites to every single post that I post about for my challenge group or for the coaching opportunity. Just because I just feel like that's why we're here. People know that it's a business. You don't have to be afraid to ask people to do it with you, because the more that you shy away from it, I think the more that people feel that. And if you're trying to add to your team, you want people to be confident in the business and not be like, oh, I don't want to sound gross or anything. It's not because this is a gift. It really truly is. So if you're posting on social media with that confidence, people are going to feel that confidence. Another thing that a lot of people don't tend to realize is that the social media game has been leveled the F. Like with the iPhone 7 Plus and that portrait setting and everybody having these amazing cameras, like your pictures matter more now than they ever have. If you have grainy images or if you have like poor lighting, yeah, every once in a while, it's okay. You're not always going to have the best lighting. You're not always going to have a bomb selfie that's going to blow up on Facebook or on Instagram. Like, we all know that, but just think about your photos. Think about the placement. Think about, did I stand here yesterday? If I go to a page and I'm scrolling, especially on Instagram, and I see the same selfie like 3 or 4 days in a row and that's all I see, I'm like, no, bye. Swipe, going right past it. So your pictures matter, especially on Instagram. I don't know if you guys run most of your business through Instagram or run your business more through Facebook, but for me, I run a lot of my business through Instagram right now. So take into account the layout. So I'm always conscious about what it's going to look like before I post. Did I post in this mirror a day ago? Is that going to show up in alignment and people are going to see that? Because I know it sounds like stupid to think about that stuff, but it really, really does matter. And what you post with the image matters. And I always use Bonnie Engel as an example, and hopefully she like never hears me say this, but I don't know how she does it, and I know it's because she's so consistent, but she has a shit Instagram. Like, her images suck. They're not consistent. They're always grainy. Unless they're professional, her images are junk. But it's because she shows up every day and connects with people every single day and has been doing it every single day for however many years. So obviously, if you're in the game and crushing it, it's going to matter a little bit less. But until you get there, obviously just adding to your brand, and your brand needs to be just that. It needs to be consistent. So photos matter, and the quality matters, but the filter also matters. So what you're posting on Instagram or what you're posting on social media matters. So does like each filter, it needs to be consistent as well. So don't use like multiple filters on your pictures. Find one that fits you, that you really, really like, that like makes you look amazing, or the lighting is awesome, and use that same filter on every single picture. And it's just going to like make your aesthetic look so much cleaner and nicer, and just better, like more appealing to the eye. So going back to what to post on social media. So if you think about how social media is growing and changing, we are growing and changing towards more of a play-by-play type of social media with Instagram stories, with Facebook Live, with Snapchat. People want to know the now. It's cool for you to have a post and write your post, and like you should definitely still be doing that 100%, but people want to know the behind the scenes. If you're not using Instagram stories or going live or doing something like that, or Snapchat, I started with Snapchat but got away from it because Instagram is like a package all in one, and I was like, why not? Why wouldn't you just do that? But if you're not doing that, you are not, I don't know how to say this nicely, you're not using your business to its fullest potential. Hey, that was pretty good. Because people want that connection. That is one more relationship building aspect or tool that you have. Two people that you're talking to them not face to face, but they can see you and relate to you so much more than just reading a post, because it's your face, it's your words, you're speaking. People just relate so much more to that than reading something with your picture on it. So if you're not doing that, I just strongly encourage that you start or that you try it out, even if it's something little each day that you share. But that's like a whole nother game in social media, and it will only help your business. I don't know how many people that I've connected with that watch my stories, and just because I'm consistent with my stories and they watch them every single day, I have that one more chance to be able to connect with them like, hey girl, I see you. What you doing? You want to like join my challenge group? Or, it just creates that friendship instead of you being like this gross salesperson that's like, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach. You want to join my challenge group? It's like, no, hey girl, I see you. You interested in what I do or not? Like, why are you watching my story every day then? So that is that. My next thing is know your platform. What you're posting depends a lot on platform, simply because each social media platform is very, very different for various reasons. Like Instagram is primarily for pictures and the layout matters and your stories are huge. Facebook is primarily for videos and the layout doesn't matter and you can go live. Snapchat, it's just kind of like a real time in the moment thing. So know what your platform is and what it's meant for and what is going to give you kind of more traction and create that reach for you. I'm not huge into ads, all of that. So I don't really do all of that. I'm into just authentically growing my business. And I think you can do that and generate an amazing business just by doing that. I don't think you need to spend a ton of money to do it. So as long as you know you're being consistent, but the bottom line is that you're sharing your story over and 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 over. Like if you have that one thing that, like, if you guys have ever written out your story and why you started coaching, what is your pain point? You to know, obviously, we all know our why, but you have to know what your pain point is and go back to that every single day, because who you're posting to is not the you now, it's the you that you were before you started this. So you need to be relatable to her, and that should be your avatar when you created her. What is her pain point? What's gonna make her stop at your post or your image or watch your story every day and relate to you? Mine is the fact that I'm not perfect. I really like food. I eat like once a week, but I show up anyways, and I admit my faults and flaws, and I talk about the hard stuff. And I think it's like the realness that people relate to. So if you're just blasting, I'm this perfect Beachbody coach, obviously you guys know to just relatable. So everything that you post just has to come back to why you started, why you're doing this in the first place, why you want people to join your challenge groups. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable and don't be afraid to ask for it. Like, don't be afraid to just get like a little, if you don't have that like emotional switch so that you can turn on and off, then maybe like what I started doing when I first started coaching, and now it just comes naturally to me because I'm just a naturally emotional person and I can like go right back to that moment in time in like a second. But I had to like write down how I felt when I first and kind of revisit that a couple times. If I was struggling with a post for the day, I would think about, okay, well, what what would I have wanted to see a year and a half ago? What would I have wanted to see 2 years ago? What was going to make me be like, oh, Tara, maybe you should change your life. Maybe you should do that. I used to hate going into dressing rooms. So I share that a lot. I used to cry every single time I used to have to go into a dressing room and try clothes on. I would leave pissed off, angry, and mad, and just upset with myself. So I talked to that Tara. That is who I'm constantly talking to. Like, it's okay to be upset, but like, you got to do something in order to feel better. So do definitely revisit that often. And then I just have this last little quote, watch what everyone else does and do the opposite. That is what this business is now. If you haven't realized that the game has changed, it just has. If you notice that a lot of the successful coaches that are up and coming, their social media game looks a lot different than the coaches that are successful now, because they are 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in. So if you go to your page and you have, the I'm a Beachbody coach banner, that's great. But when you friend somebody, they're going to see that and be like, I'm going to get a sale soon. I'm going to soon, asking if I want to join her challenge group. And I'm not saying that those like banners are bad. I'm just saying it says Beachbody to people. So we are in the business of building relationships first and then getting those people to after. And I think sometimes we forget that. I know I did for a while, because I was so focused on growing my business and getting people to join my challenge groups that I forgot what it's all about. And what it's all about is to make people feel better, do better, live better. So if that's what you're doing and you're sharing your story and you're being authentic to you, and you struggle with a post, just always go back to that. Always go back to that. Even if it's something stupid. If you don't know something stupid like I love pizza, find out what your little quirky thing is, and just post about it. Like, you would be surprised. Like, is like Disney, right? Like, that's your thing, is that you're like a Disney. People eat that stuff up. Like, my puppy, I definitely use that shit for my business. Like, 100%. Who doesn't love puppies? I definitely use her for posts. So you just gotta find, if you have kids, like, moms eat kids up, and if you're just at home, like on a Monday having lunch with your kid, that's a post. Everything is a post. Everything you do is a post. Even if you think it's boring, something can come from it. Something can be taken away from it. It's only boring because it's you do it every day. So, is there any questions?
I for sure have to say too, like with just those daily, like what you're doing, sharing that on Instagram stories, I have so many connections just from people responding to the Instagram stories on like the most random crap ever, and not like the workouts or whatever it may be. So if you share those just like play by plays, those are going to start conversations with people who you had no idea were following you.
And I think it takes a lot of pressure off of your posts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're connecting with people behind the scenes on a real-time basis, you feel a lot less pressure to have to regurgitate everything that you're into one post, because you're sharing it all day long. And I always manage to say something in my Instagram story, whatever I say in there, like, I'm sharing that as a post, so that people get the idea that, like, oh, so if I watch a say, I'm going to get more of the story and not just a post.
That's good. Anyone else have questions? I don't know if everyone else is muted.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Tara. Is
Hi.
that kind of like going off of Shalene? I haven't heard her stuff in a long time, but her idea of putting a big blurb out there, or like your stories, and then you have your posts kind of chunks off of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you're doing with your stories and
Oh,
posts.
yeah. So if you watch my story throughout the day, I like always have this little section of time that I like sit down and chat with people. And I'm just like, hey guys, what's up? Like, I just kind of bring myself from coach, like health, fitness, business, to just like a person. And I'm just like, hey, good morning. How are you? What you been doing? What's up? Like, I just kind of coffee chat with people. It's usually either before my workout or after my workout. And I just talk about stuff, but I'm always inviting to something at the end of it, like always. So, by the way, wanted to invite you guys, blah, 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 blah. But whatever I say in that chunk of time throughout the day, you're going to see a post that's very, very related to my story. If you were to, go back through my story and the post, they're very parallel.
And one last question on the stories. Does it take a little bit of time to build up people watching your stories?
It did, but the more that you're connecting, the more that people will watch them. So if you're liking people's stuff, commenting on people's stuff, you're going to show up in their feed, and then they're going to see that highlighted circle, and they'll be like, oh, I can like see her. And they're watch and they're going to watch and they're going to watch a little bit more before they say anything or before they comment. But that's where you come in. Hey girl, I see you watching me. Are you interested in what I do? Health, fitness, business? I think we're afraid to lead with it because we think it's gross. But if people are coming to your page, watching you every day, they might say no at first, but they're still going to watch. Like, it just happened to me. I just had a girl, literally, she was the one person that it could have been within 5 seconds that I posted something and she was watching my story. And I messaged her and she was like, oh, I think it's great what you do, but like, I just don't think it's me. And then she backed off for like a day. 2 days later, back to watching my story. So she'll come around. I know. I know she will. So just give it time and it'll happen. You'll definitely have people watch your story. Especially if you're you, like be you, smile. If you're going to show a clip of your workout, smile when you're working out. And I learned that from Shalene because she was constantly smiling in her freaking workout videos. And do you know how contagious that is? Like, do you know how many people just randomly comment to me or comment on my videos? Like, I don't know how you smile through that whole thing. I don't know, like your smile is refreshing, or like smile. Like, people love that. Like, people eat it up for whatever reason. Like, it's just, nobody wants to see you dripping and struggling through a workout. They're not going to join you. Act like you're having fun, even if you're not. Because at the end of it, you probably do feel better. Like, we all know if you work out, you feel better. So just smile. It's hard some days. Not every day I'm like, this is awesome. But some days I struggle. But if you are struggling, just be real about it too. Like, smile, but then say, this sucks. Like, this today is hard, but I'm still here. Like, that's the point of it. I'm still here. Anything else?
Anyone else have any questions? That was really good, Tara. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I know it's nothing profound. Like, I didn't have anything like life changing or business changing to offer, other than you just got to always be like relatable, even if it is something stupid. For the longest time, I got away from adding in that little bit of extra of me, and I was just posting about the business and the challenge group, and my engagement went down so far. So you got to make sure that you're mixing in a everything and just be authentic to you always.
Perfect. All right, guys, I will post the recording in our team page too. Tara, can you email me these slides too?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and either post in the event or just let me know and I can send them along.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.